What exactly does it take to sell hundreds of thousands of pounds on Amazon FBA in the UK? What challenges are you going to face, and what do you need to do in order to prepare yourself to get started for that challenge ahead in order to have as much success as possible? That's exactly what we're going to cover in today's video. My name's Hayden Davidson and welcome to the channel. It's the question that everyone wants to know. When you get started selling on Amazon FBA, is it possible? Is it possible to do it? Are all of these fake gurus, are these gurus real or are they fake? All these fake gurus, everyone just seems to be selling courses. Is it even possible? What do I do? How do I do it? What are the challenges that I'm going to come up against? All of these obstacles or apparent obstacles that are in your way. I'm going to tell you exactly how I went from zero to £350,000 worth of sales in the last couple of years, which, by the way, is not a massive amount, but it's not all about the sales. It's about how much profit you're making on them sales at the same time. I'm going to tell you how I went from zero to £350,000 worth of sales, and we are growing that at quite a significant rapid rate, and that's growing every single year, by the way. We've been working on the profit. I'm going to tell you how you can get to the stage where you're doing six figures, and then you can start really niching down and focusing on that profit and then scaling after that. So let's dive in. My name's Hayden Davidson and I am going to show you exactly what I did, my steps, my process that I did in order to get to where we are right now. I'll see you soon. Hey, and welcome to section 1. Let's dive into this. So the first thing I'm going to say is do not worry about making profit to start with. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, what do you mean? What's the point in doing it without profit, you know? Oh, I need to do this so that I can quit my job. Like, I get that, and I completely understand that. I was exactly the same. But take it from me, right? Whatever income that you've got right now, do not get rid of that. Do not get rid of that, right? For the most part, for most of you, that would be the wrong thing to do at the start. Amazon is a real opportunity, and it can grow into a real business with significant profit. You don't want to jeopardize them chances by doing too much, chucking in your job, doing too much, investing it all, not really knowing what you're doing, getting overwhelmed because you think that it's not working, and then that'll be it, and then you've blown your opportunity because you've lost your confidence and things like that. Trust me, you do not want to do that, because I've been in a similar situation in previous businesses. The first thing that you want to do is just shelf it for now. Shelf the idea of making loads and loads of profit, and at first focus on how you can get good at managing Amazon Seller Central and just selling in general without worrying about too much profit to start with. Profit's nice, profit's a bonus. I hope that you make money from the off, and it's very likely that you will. But what I mean is don't make that your core focus. Make your focus to start with understanding the process, understanding Seller Central, understanding returns, understanding reimbursements, understanding how to claim your money back from Amazon if they haven't paid it all to you, understanding how to talk to your customers, understanding what you want to focus on this business. That's what I would be focusing on to start with. Set your account up, set up Seller Central, figure out Seller Central, do some research, look at other YouTubers that do Amazon. Figure all this stuff out, and if you've started selling already, just focus on understanding that process. Do you understand selling on Amazon as much as you should do? Because trust me, if you're only 6 months in to this business, there is a lot of stuff that you don't know that sellers that have been doing it for 2 or 3 years know. Now, obviously, that's understandable. You know, you're not going to know everything from the start, but don't fall into the trap of thinking that you know everything you need to know, or thinking that you know more than what you actually know. I fell into that trap just a few months in. I thought I knew more than I did, but trust me, keep learning the process, keep understanding the process, getting good at it, nailing it in a little bit more, and then later, once you've mastered that, that's when you can start getting into the stuff that we're going to talk about in the next video. As I mentioned in the last video, you want to be focusing on getting used to Seller Central, or if you've started selling, just getting used to selling. And the next thing that you want to do is figure out what interests you. So, and what I mean by that is it private label the reason you started this? Is building a brand the reason you started this? Is bundles the reason you started this? Is online arbitrage the reason you started this? Is wholesale the reason you started it? Do you just want to learn about Amazon so that then you can start offering services or coaching or whatever you want to do? Start figuring out, because this is very, very important, start figuring out what business model is your end game, or what do you think it is? Because by the way, it might change, because mine changed. What's your end goal at this stage? What interests you the most? Is it OA? Is it wholesale? Is it private label? Think about that and start doing some more research into that. Research the guys, the girls that are doing well in it. Type that into Google. Figure out, is that right for you? And then once you've figured that out, start doing it. Start testing it. And by the way, you might lose some money on some dud products to start with. This is like a full disclaimer. You may lose some money in the short term, but hopefully you'll break even or make a little bit of profit to start with as you start to understand it a little bit more. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Some of you may not lose too much, some of you might not lose much at all in general, but trust me, you're going to buy some products that don't quite work. But this is why you've got to figure out, do you want to do one particular model? And if so, get into that, start testing that, going a little bit deeper into the particular business model that you're interested in and start researching it and trying it. You have to put your time into actually working on it yourself rather than just watching YouTube videos, because the hands-on experience you're going to learn from actually selling is a lot more than you're going to learn from actually watching YouTube videos or doing courses or things like that. So that's the next thing that I'll be focusing on, okay? Understanding the actual model within Amazon FBA that you actually want to do. Maybe you want to do FBM, I don't know, but within Amazon that you actually want to do, okay? That's my next step. So the next video, similar to what I said in the last one, but as an extended version onto this video, the next thing that I think is vitally important, what is your reason why for doing the particular business model that you want to do? Now, hold on there, you might be thinking, woo-woo, you know, I didn't want to come here for all this sort of personal development stuff. Trust me, hold me on that, because this is very important, right? What's the reason that you're doing the particular business model that you chose? Is it so that you can have freedom? Is it so that you can build an empire? Okay? Is it so that you can just work it part-time? What's the reason? What's the motivation behind that? Okay, and figure out, is that the right one for you before you start diving in? Is it the right one for you? Okay, and understand and write down. Okay, at this stage you'll probably already started doing it, so write down, why have I decided that particular model? And actually, is that particular model going to fit into my future plans, right? Does that business model within Amazon allow me to have as much freedom as I want? Does it allow me to travel? And if that's not what you want, if you want an empire, that you want your big warehouse and stuff like that, great, that's doable. But make sure that that is in your plans as well. Because you can have it all in time, but in the short term, and I mean 2 years, 3 years, you sort of need to decide what sort of commitment you're willing to put into this business, time-wise, your dedication to it, that all of that stuff, all the amount of time that you can or will or are willing to put into this, all the effort you're willing to put into this, the physical location that you're in, all of that tells you what sort of business model that you should be doing within this business. Okay, that's the next step. What's your why for doing what you're doing? Pause the video and write that down. I think it's a good thing to do. Right, see you in the next video. Okay, so right now, once you've sort of done the steps that we've previously said, I would say that right now you should be at the stage where you are building, and this isn't right now, by the way, this is just talking about the process that you should expect or could expect possibly from my experience. You should be at the stage where, let's give an example, I started with online arbitrage and I started doing, let's say, 10, 15,000 a month once I was a little bit into it, a fair few months into it. After that, I then realised that, hey, it was going fine, but my margins were pretty small, and I sort of wanted to start levelling it up a little bit. So once you get to that stage, so you're not doing hundreds of thousands, but you might be doing tens of thousands or just below tens of thousands. Once you get to that sort of stage, you can really get a good grasp of, there's a lot of money coming into the business, but how much profit am I actually making? And that's when you want to start really crunching your numbers, figuring out what's actually going on here, like figure out how you can start tweaking your margins. So taking a step back, how you can start tweaking your margins, okay? Are you buying too many things? Are you buying too many things at the highest possible price? Do you need to, not proper wholesale, but doing OA, do you need to start contacting some wholesalers and getting this in bigger prices, bigger quantities in order to start really getting the margins down? Are you paying too much for your boxes? Should you be looking for a prep center so you can outsource your prepping time in order to grow the business and get more products in, or the other way around? Are you spending too much money on prep and you need to prep in-house for now so that you can make more money in the short term? You need to look at where the money's going, what sort of margins are you actually doing, and start doing some serious research into other sellers that are doing very well in the particular model that you were in or are in, okay? And then figure out exactly how they run their business. But make sure, top tip, make sure they actually make their money from that business and that they don't just make all of their money from YouTube or courses or something like that, or their service on telling you how to run your business. Make sure you're listening to someone that is actually doing the thing and doing it really well, and then you could start picking up some really good hints and tips. I would deep dive and look for some hints and tips on how you can actually start leveling up your current business to take it to the next level. Keep an eye on your profit, don't just look at the turnover. Very important. Let's move on to the next video. Batten down the hatches. In this video, let's talk about battening down the hatches. The next thing that might happen, is that you might think, okay, so I've checked my profit, I can see it's going well, there's some sort of momentum happening here. Okay, so the next thing that you need to do is start battening down the hatches. Okay, filling in the holes in the bottom of the bucket that are falling out. Okay, this is what I had to do. You might get to a stage where it just feels a little bit messy. It all feels a little bit messy. So, you're making money, as I say, you're making profit, you've checked your margins, you are making money, but you're doing everything yourself. You're doing the prep yourself, you're doing the accountancy yourself, you're doing the VA stuff yourself, you're doing all services yourself, all of this sort of stuff. So take a step back again and start sorting out your systems. At this point, you should have decided, even for the foreseeable future, how you should have decided what business model you're going for, at least in the short term. And now you need to get serious. You need to realize that, hey, I've got the confidence now, I've got the knowledge up to a certain extent of how to take this to the next level, but you can't take it to the next level by doing everything yourself. It doesn't mean you've got to employ people. It doesn't mean you've got to employ anyone. Literally employ them. Put them on PAYE and things like that. But it might mean that you need to look at systemizing everything that you are doing. Okay, everything, or not necessarily everything, but systemizing bits of the business to pull you out a little bit. To pull you out so that you can focus on growth. Because there's only so far you can go when you're prepping everything, when you're doing all the admin and everything like that. Okay. So have a think about it. Do you need a virtual assistant to do your admin? Okay, are you missing out on reimbursements that Amazon could be giving you from lost shipments that they've sent? Or are you missing out on products that have been sent to you from suppliers that you aren't keeping up with chasing when they don't send all of the items to you? Because I know that happens because I've been there. Okay, these are what we call leakages in the bucket. Okay, your bucket's got holes in it and they're leaking out. Okay. Personally, I've got a business manager, a virtual assistant that looks at all of this stuff for me. He chases reimbursements from lost shipments from Amazon. Okay, do you need to look into that? He chases suppliers when they haven't delivered everything. Okay, or do you need a prep center? Do you need a prep center to take control of your prep? This might take some calculating. You might have to test it to figure out if you can afford it at this stage. But do you need a prep center to take that off? Or what would you spend your time doing if it wasn't prep? You've got to think about this stuff. What's the most obvious area that you need help with, and start looking into that. Okay, do you need a sourcing virtual assistant for whatever you're doing? Okay, do you need to start focusing on your private label stuff if that was your goal from the start? Don't let the business run away from you. Figure out what is costing you too much time, what is stopping your growth, and fill them holes so that you're not losing profit and losing time, losing momentum, and eventually you might feel like giving up. So you've got to make sure that you're on top of this, moving forwards, not staying stagnant, not losing money. Get on top of this, okay? Fill the holes. Right, let's move on to the next. Okay, so at this stage, you've taken a step back, you've systemised the business, you've figured out, you systemised it to a certain level, you've figured out the holes in the business, you think that you've covered pretty much everything. Okay, so now you should be left with money that you're reinvesting into the business, and that is what I was next going to say. Make sure you're reinvesting the majority, or not. I don't believe in all of it, personally. I've always taken, when I can, some money out of my business, and some months I've taken thousands and thousands of pounds as a sort of bonus, because you never know how long you're going to live, and I know that sounds pretty morbid, but you never know how long you're going to live. We could all get hit by a bus tomorrow. I personally like to get paid for what I do, so I take some money, but especially in the early days, I reinvested the majority of my money back in, or sometimes all of it, but the majority back in. Not forever, but it's necessary at the start to invest a majority back in, just so that you can keep compounding that growth. Okay, keep compounding that growth. So at this stage, you should be at the stage where you're reinvesting it and you're building it up, and you'll probably end up having quite a lot of money, surplus amounts of profit left in the business. And you go, well, that's a good sign that the business is going well, as long as you've done your calculations, but you need to make sure that now you're looking at reinvesting that money, okay? But you can't reinvest it doing what you did before. So now you need to take a step back and go, hey, okay, so what do I need to do in order to keep moving this forward? And this may mean that you need to take some more calculated risks. And once again, with risks, right, reward comes with risks, but there's always risk, and there's always a risk of losing money, okay? So make sure you do your own due diligence. This is not financial advice, but you will need to start leveling yourself up now. Whatever you're doing, you need to level yourself up. You need to take the risk. You need to look at your past experience. As Steve Jobs said, you can't connect the dots moving forward, you can only connect the dots looking back. What is working for you? What has worked for you so far? Keep doing that. Keep doing that. Keep rinsing, keep repeating whatever you are doing, and figure out the low-hanging fruit. Keep rinsing and repeating that. Take some more risk on yourself. Do you need to get a loan? Do you need to invest the money that you've got? As I say, do you need to make sure that you've outsourced everything you're doing? Do you need to buy more particular products of what you're doing? Do you need to upscale this? You've got to start thinking bigger in order to get to this level. And then once you've done this, once you're doing this, all of a sudden you might realise that you're at 6 figures without even realising it. Okay, now once you've done everything that I've just said in that video, okay, now over time, right, this is not financial advice, but over time, that is a general analysis of how I sold hundreds of thousands. And before you know it, you should be at 6 figures if you keep rinsing and repeating, never stop learning, and keep trying to get better and better at what you do. I do a completely different business model. I do private label kind of stuff right now. I'm building a brand, which is very different to online arbitrage when I started. Whatever you're doing to get to that 6 figure mark, to get to selling hundreds of thousands, trust me, as time goes by, as long as you stick to the business, you will start understanding what works better for you, what you want to do, what sort of business model within Amazon gives you the time and the confidence and fills you with joy, which you want to focus on, and which might be completely different to anyone else. So try not to get influenced by anyone else, but just focus on what you want to do, and before you know it, you should be at 6 figures and then moving on to the next stage. And by the way, 6 figures is where it all starts. Getting to 6 figures, in my opinion, is when it all starts. After that, that's when you've got the experience and knowledge to really guide yourself and your business into territories that you probably didn't think were possible, because that's what I'm going through at the moment. Getting to six figures is stage 1 in my eyes. And then you've got stage 2, which is hundreds of thousands. Get to the I'm not there yet, but once you're at the sort of £500,000 mark, that's when you're like, right, this is getting really serious. You go to the next level, you're looking for $1 million, Very, very exciting. But look at it all as learning, okay? All as learning. I especially say first year's for learning, second year's for earning. I'll see you all soon. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Just shows me that we're doing something right. Okay, hope you're well.